hardest thing that anybody that is going to be successful in this business has to do is get that initial first real meeting with somebody who might be a good prospect for what we have to offer.
Hi, and welcome to The Selling Edge, where we explore the tools, strategies, and stories that help sellers win faster and smarter. I'm Laura Van Iderstine, Director of Partner Success at Futuri, and today I'm joined by Randy Cable, Vice President and Market Manager for Manchester Media Group and Monadnock Media Group. Randy has spent more than 40 years in media sales and leadership, helping businesses navigate changing consumer behavior, evolving media channels, and increasingly complex marketing decisions. In this conversation, we talk about why getting that first meeting is still one of the biggest challenges in sales, how great sellers earn trust by focusing on client outcomes, and why adaptability is more important than ever in today's marketplace. Randy, thanks for joining us today. You've been in the business a little while. You started when you were 10. What brought you into the business?
You know, I've been fascinated with advertising since I was a kid, and I have tons of stories I can tell you about that, but skip ahead to how I got started and where I got started. When I was in college, I was a communications major and one of the few people I know that's still working in the business that they got their degree in, and got a chance to work at the college radio station, the college TV station, and even some work at the college newspaper, primarily selling. We sold ad space in all the mediums there, and I enjoyed my time doing that. So when I graduated in May. I already had a job lined up in February before graduation to that as soon as I graduated, I could start. And I started as a radio sales rep in a little town in Iowa. And then have been doing it since. So that was in May of 1984. Got a few miles on the tires, so to speak, doing this.
Nice. I love the longevity.
Yeah.
What does your day-to-day look like as a manager in your groups?
You know, that's changed a lot, right? It's a constant evolution. And now the day-to-day is we spend a lot of time with our sales teams. You know, I think most managers do nowadays. I mean, we have to wear multiple hats. We have to do multiple jobs. But at the end of the day, none of us can survive without revenue generation. And that is the name of the game. I know we have people that do great work on the content side of our business that are really good at developing great content to attract listenership and to keep that part of it going and putting it on multiple platforms. And we have teams and people that work on that. And I meet with those leaders on a weekly basis. I meet with the sales team, certain members of the sales team almost daily as we work on projects for clients that we're developing, you know, because it's not the same as it used to be. You know, it used to be, hey, we'd work on a radio schedule and we'd build a radio schedule. But now radio is a part of what we do. It's not the full thing that we do. We work with our clients and our prospective clients on full circle, whatever you want to call it, media campaigns across all platforms. And we can help them with every aspect of what they're trying to do with their business or just certain aspects if that's what they choose. And we work very hard at developing a really solid, smart strategy for our clients that they can implement across all platforms and can help them with a lot of different aspects of their business. Because let's face it, the world, the number of options in the world of marketing and advertising in today's world is much more complex and complicated than it ever was at any other point in time in history. And there's more options for business owners and marketing directors and people making those decisions than there ever has been. And there's more confusion. There's a lot of fragmentation with the offerings that are being made. And there's a lot of just frustration that we see from a lot of the business people that we talk to about trying to navigate all these different options and all these different nuances and all these different elements. And they just want somebody to help them keep it simple, keep it clear, give them a good understanding of how it all works. So we work real hard on all aspects of that. So the day-to-day stuff is involved with really looking at full circle or full cycle campaigns for our clients and the salespeople, supporting them with the information that they need to be able to explain things correctly to their clients, making sure that we're up to speed on all of our campaigns are firing and working the way they should be, delivering the metrics that we promise our clients about. So it's much different today than it was even a couple of years ago.
You mentioned, a lot has changed. One thing that a lot of radio groups struggle with is recruitment and retention of media salespeople. If you could go back in time, or even if you could give advice to someone who's kind of starting out in the business, knowing now what you do, what would that advice be to someone looking at media sales?
Well, it's interesting because I don't think it's just our industry that is struggling with recruitment and retention. I think it's all industries. I think we have that conversation with all types of businesses on a regular basis. One of the struggles they have is recruitment. So I think the advice I would give somebody, if they're really serious about looking at a career like this, would be to learn as much as you possibly can about all the different ways that businesses can market themselves and come in with a baseline knowledge. I know that when I started in this business, I tried to be prepared. When I started my first day in my first professional job outside of college, I had a head start because I was already doing some of this stuff, but I did it on purpose because I knew this is what I wanted it to do. So I worked hard at trying to learn the things that I would find necessary for success. So I think that is one piece of advice I would give anybody that's looking at this. I would say that one of the biggest struggles that anybody has that works in media sales, I don't care what business you're in, whether you're working for an agency that's out selling media plans or you're working for a traditional media company that's doing it, whether you're working for whatever, that you're selling media, even if you're working for yourself and just doing freelance work. The hardest thing that anybody that is going to be successful in this business has to do is get that initial first real meeting with somebody who might be a good prospect for what we have to offer. That is the single hardest and the most defining thing that I've seen over my years of experience of whether somebody can be good at this or struggle with it. And that, getting somebody to give us that initial conversation, I don't think a lot of people, just maybe some, but not a lot of people woke up today and said, geez, I hope somebody from the local media company calls me and asks me to spend $10,000 a month with them for the rest of my life. That would be the best thing that could happen to me today. Nobody wakes up thinking that. Most business people, they just want more new customers. They want more of the right new customers. And their focus is about how does that happen? So our conversations with them have to be built around the things that they want, not the things that we sell, not the processes that we do, but how do we help them get more of what they want? And if we can get that part done, just get them to want to talk to us, to think of us as somebody that might be able to bring them that solution. The rest of it is very learnable and easy to teach. We can teach you how to put together a really good presentation based around what that client is trying to accomplish. We can teach that to anybody, basically. The real trick is just being able to get somebody to engage with. And people that can do that succeed in this industry, in any sales industry. If you can't get somebody to talk to you, you're going to struggle and you're going to fight and you're going to play the numbers game where you just call 1,000 people and hope 5 will talk to you. Whereas we look at it from, let's really focus on the right types of businesses, the ones that we know we can help, and let's go to them with a reason why they should talk to us. And the reason why they should talk to us is not because they want to talk about their advertising and marketing. People hate advertising. Business owners hate it. They look at it and say, I don't know what works. I don't know what doesn't work. I'm writing a check every month. They're always mad about it, right? The old joke was, 50% of your advertising is working. You just don't know which 50% it is. So you just keep doing all of it anyway. Well, that's probably worse now because of all the different things and options and choices that they have in front of them, that it's even more confusing than it was before.
Absolutely. You kind of answered this, but maybe elaborate a little bit more. As a manager, what do you do or think your reps need from you to succeed? Is it coaching? Do you have one-on-ones with your reps?
One-on-ones every week with each rep in a very specific setting with very specific agenda, and then open door policy the rest of the week because I prioritize my time for them, so that they have more access to me so I can help them get the things done that they need. Again, with all the different options and things that we can do for clients, there's a lot more brain power that has to go into putting together a really solid plan for somebody. And typically they like to just bounce that off of somebody, talk about strategy, talk about elements of what we can bring to the table. So making myself available for that part of what they're doing. Or sometimes it's just a simple thing of not simple. but it's a conversation that's like more focused on, I can't get this person to talk to me. What can we do? We'll brainstorm ideas on how we can maybe get them to engage with us and start it, because we're sitting here knowing we could really help this person do better than they're doing, but we just can't get them to talk to us. So if we put them in and say, this is somebody we believe we can help. This is somebody that it looks like they could be a high value partner for us in the future. How can we cross that bridge and get them to have the conversation? So a lot of times we're talking about those things. How do we start the engagement process? How do we keep up with it? We utilize a lot of the stuff that we can find on through Topline and Futuri product, right? With what you guys have to offer to help us with that. Like I look at the business news pieces that get published all the time. I look at all the other news elements that you guys put out there specifically for us to know more information about the business categories that we're going after, but then also to utilize some of that information as a part of a drip campaign for somebody that we want to eventually build a relationship with. And we want to send them, hey, here's an article we thought you might be interested in, maybe with a few comments or words. I was doing some research over the weekend, came across this, really would like to get together with you. Looking forward to us meeting someday in the future, whatever it may be, but to use some of that information along those lines, or pulling together custom research. Like if we have an idea and that idea needs some teeth to it, we'll work with their team to come up with some custom research that could help us, work to get that appointment. So it's not just for the proposal side of things. We're also utilizing the what's available to us through Topline to help us get better and more appointments too.
Great. We love to hear that. And one of my questions was, how do you help those good reps that have been doing it for a while? Because the job is not easy every day.
No, it's hard, right? For veterans that have been doing this, and some, some people are very adaptable. And in order to survive in any business that goes through as much change as the media industry, the marketing industry, the advertising industry, you got to be really adaptable. You can't hold on too tightly to the past because things change quickly. What works today and the way the consumers consume media today is different than it was even 2 years ago, vastly different than it was 6 years ago. Think back to one of the big changes that kind of sped up the way we all use media was COVID. We all spent a lot of time at home. Everybody started talking about, all the shows that were on Netflix, and we were out of shows and we were looking for other things. Everybody's TV viewing habits changed dramatically during that time period because we were stuck at home and we had to find entertainment. So a lot of life changed then. We learned how to do a lot of our business over video calls. Which, a video call is to me the next best thing to an in-person call, because I get to get a visual of the person that I'm talking to. And a video call is definitely a step up from just a phone call where I can't see you, but I can hear your voice, maybe inflection. And the worst possible means of communication is text or email, because it's just so impersonal. So the levels of communication and how much more efficient we've gotten as we've learned that we can use video calls. We don't have to drive 3 hours for a meeting in Boston or across the state. If we can get on a video call and talk, we can see you, we can present to you, we can put it up on screen, we can show you a video, we can play the audio, all the things that we want to do, we can accomplish without killing your drive time, without killing our drive time, without waste. It's made us more efficient. When we utilize it in the right way, none of us would have learned it to this level had we not gone through that time period, right? Think about the changes of the way the restaurant industry was impacted. People couldn't go to the restaurants. How many of us did DoorDash and pickup and stuff like that, and delivery? It took delivery to a whole new level. It's a whole new height. How many people bought cars during that COVID when everything was shut down without ever having to set foot on a dealership? We were running a lot of marketing campaigns for dealers saying, we'll bring the car to you. We'll wipe it down. You can do a test drive, take it out if you like it. You never have to come to the dealership. We can do the whole thing online as we drop it off in your driveway. The impact of all those changes just kind of sped that whole process up of the evolution of the way we interact with media. Think about today. Think about the way you go about making a buying decision today. It's probably something like this. You get an idea or you get interested in something. The minute you get interested, I get interested, anybody gets interested in something, the very next thing we're going to do is we're going to go online and do research. And when we go online and research, today we have so much more information available to us on that screen in front of us than we ever had in human history. I don't have to go to a store. I can do all the research to know what I want so that when I walk into that business, I know exactly what I want. And even if they have it in stock, if they're connected that way, if they have their inventory online. I can tell you, my wife sent me to a store on Saturday. She goes, I checked to see there's 4 of them in stock at the store right now. Go get it. Like, okay. So it's just changed the way we interact, and keeping up with that is tough. So anybody that's been in this business for a while that doesn't want to evolve, they're left behind. You have to evolve with the way things have changed, the way people consume the media, the way people make buying decisions. All those things are pertinent to the way we approach the business. So people that don't evolve struggle. People that do evolve will do well. People that are want to learn and love this stuff, they thrive. They're thriving in today's environment, not burning out. They are thriving in it because they live on that adrenaline that comes from the knowledge and the information and having a good strategy and refining things. The people that burn out are the ones that are probably just banging their head on the wall, doing the same thing over and over every day. And it gets to be such a grind that it just wears you out. I think most of us get into the media business because of the pace and the speed that things can move and the flexibility, and every day is different. And when every day is not different anymore and it's a grind, I think that's brutal. I think I could never do that. Like every day I get up, I'm excited to go to work, and my whole day could change by the first email that I see that morning. And I'm okay with that. We have to be flexible. We have to be adaptable. For some people, that's just not their DNA. They don't want that. So they burn out. They move on and do other things. And that's okay. Everybody should find what they love and do what they love. And I think if you find something that you really love and do, you won't burn out in this business. So we look at that and say, maybe it's just not the right fit anymore because it's changed. So anytime there's high evolution, it's hard, and people don't want to keep up with it. They just want to go back to the things they're comfortable with. Well, those things don't exist anymore. So it's hard to be comfortable with them. Everything's changed. So again, people that fall into that and don't want to evolve, I think those are the folks that struggle and get burnt.
Great. Do you have in your history, whether selling or being a manager, something that you remember that really stands out, that's a really proud moment for you over the years that you've been in the business? Like a client that you got on board or had a great relationship with, or a rep that you helped?
Well, there's so many stories like that. There's so many stories like one of the things that we look at and analyze for businesses is how do we help them stay in front of the consumer through the consumer's entire buying process, the process we talked about. We get an idea, we get interested in something, we go online and we do our research, and our research has gotten to be crazy. We're looking at reviews. We're checking a bunch of websites. We're going to Reddit and reading what people are saying about it there. We're doing all this research and all this stuff. How do we keep the business people that we work with in front of those consumers the whole way? And probably I can give you 15 really great stories of businesses where they weren't showing up online. They were invisible. So even if they were spending the money and getting people interested in their business or what they sold or what service they offered, those people would go online and start researching, and then they would find somebody else. They got them interested. They spent the money to get them interested. And then they went online because they couldn't find those clients, those businesses. They were invisible to them. They chose somebody else. So they actually created sales for somebody else. Where we've been able to fix that for businesses and able to help them. And we can show them and say, look, because of this marketing that you've done online, we can show you that you've got 85 phone calls from people that went online to search, and we got them to connect with you. Whereas 3 months ago or 2 months ago, you would have been invisible to all those people. So that's something that makes me feel great. Those are some of the accomplishments. And literally, we have 18, 20 campaigns going right now with that exact scenario. When we started working with these businesses, they had no strategy whatsoever. They just had a website, and they were really good at what they do, and they did some radio, and they may have done some newspaper or some TV, and they were just throwing a bunch of money out there and hoping that it was going to work. And we went to them and worked with them on a real strategy that they can see measurable results. And that's the beauty of what we can bring to the table for anybody in today's world, is we can bring measurable results. We can show them those things. But again, it all circles back to the questions that we ask the client every time we go in to talk to them is, I'm going to show you all these results that we got. How's business? And are you seeing more new customers? Those two questions are the ones that matter. And if they're saying yes or not enough to that, it's how you respond from that point that makes a difference. And feeling good about those accomplishments that we make for our clients to me is the best thing that we can do. And yes, I also have a lot of stories of people that I've worked with over the years and I've tried to coach and help that I feel good about, but that's for them to say. I don't know. I hope it's some of the stuff I tried to teach them sticks with them and they're able to use it. But I feel really good about the stuff that we do for our clients.
Excellent. It's very evident how passionate you are and how much you love this industry. I mean, one thing you kind of mentioned it already, sales teams are being asked to do more. How do you help that lean team stay productive?
Well, again, I think we covered this to some extent, but I'll revisit this. And that is the fact that they only have so much time in a day. And our job is to make that time more efficient for them so they can spend more time with clients. The most important time they have is when they're face-to-face or on a video call with a client, and looking at ways that I can streamline the work around them to get them to have more of that time. Right? It's not more time at the beach. They should do that too. Don't get me wrong. Right? You got to have that work-life balance. But when they're in their work mode, to make sure that I'm giving them the opportunity to have the most productive time possible and with as little time as possible tied up into things that are challenging. Like one of the things that I love about Futuri and what you guys bring to the table is the ability for us to look great with our graphic sales pieces and our station snapshots. Do you know how long that would take any of us internally to build on our own to do that? Right? It's a lot. And the work that you guys have done, like the project you and I have been working on over the last couple of weeks, is to help us streamline our proposal template so I can make it more efficient for my team. So, and you guys have been hand in hand working with me, multiple calls, multiple work on this back and forth, and we're getting it to the right where I want it to be. And it's all about efficiency for the team. So having a resource like Futuri and Topline to help us with that, I can't tell you how valuable that's been. It improves the way we look. It improves the way our pieces look. It improves the amount of research and information that we can pull together without a lot of time and effort. So there you go. There's a commercial for you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. You're right. What you had just said, having come from selling radio, I was doing a lot of the presentations myself because we didn't have Topline. Not only did it take me a long time, and I did use AI sometimes, but then I felt like, hey, I got to check everything. But I am not a graphic designer, and my stuff did not look good. And I see the stuff that we have right now, and I'm like, wow, I think I would have gotten a lot more respect from clients bringing this in than the chart that I put in a slide. And I thought it looked really good because I did a 3D effect, and it really looked like a cartoon. So, right. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this, right? Because my salespeople have heard me say this a million times, and that is, don't cut corners on your proposals. If you're asking somebody for $100,000, then that needs to look like a proposal that was built for somebody that is willing to spend $100,000, not a one-sheeter, not something with something photocopied on it. It needs to be professional, and it needs to look like we know what we're talking about. And people judge, they're judging us all the time because they're comparing us to all the other options that they have. And if we've ever had a weak spot in this industry, it's been with the quality of what the proposals look like. And that's an area that 100% we've improved over the decades. And then beyond it looking great, the efficiency of putting it together is something I'm always looking at. How can I make this easier and faster, yet not take away from the customization that needs to be done? Because every client's different. Everything we put together for a client, that presentation is custom built for that client. But how can we make that as efficient as possible for the team? And that's what we've been able to accomplish with this.
Randy, thank you again for joining us and sharing your experience and perspective.
I enjoyed doing this.
One of the biggest themes from our conversation is that while the tools, platforms, and buying behaviors continue to evolve, the fundamentals of great selling remain the same. The ability to build relationships, earn trust, understand client needs, and consistently create value will always matter. As sales professionals continue navigating a more complex media landscape, Randy's advice is a great reminder that success comes from staying adaptable, remaining focused on client outcomes, and never losing sight of the importance of that first conversation. Thanks for listening to The Selling Edge. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the podcast and share it with someone on your team who's looking to sharpen their sales skills and build stronger client relationships. Until next time, keep selling smarter, not harder.